Hi everybody. This is a science lesson about monocots and dicots. So it's a plant lesson, it's some botany. And we are going to do this in two parts. So part one is a sitting inside at your computer watching part. And then part two is going to be an investigating part. So part one, I'm going to record inside my house. And then for part two, I'm going to go out and walk around and show you some things that I can find out in the yard. And then you can go out and do the same thing in your yard. So as a quick reminder, when we talk about monocots and dicots, the first thing to know about them is that their name comes from this word right here, cotyledon. See the little cot that you hear in monocot and dicot? It actually means monocotyledon and dicotyledon, but people make them into shorter words because it takes too long to say sometimes. So we're going to make ourselves a little graph here with monocots on this side, switch pens since that one appears to be running out, and dicots on this side. This is one of the simple ways, or best ways in my opinion, to divide up plants when you talk about them. So monocots, some examples would be things like corn or grass or tulips. Those are some monocot plants. Dicot plants are things like an apple tree, an oak, a zucchini plant, things like that. Now, they're different in their seeds. They are different with their leaves. They are different with their flowers. And they're different in a few other ways, but those are the three we're going to start with for today. So a monocot seed has one cotyledon. So if we draw a little diagram of its seed, we have the seed coat, right? And then in here is the seed. This part's the cotyledon, where the little star is. I'm going to change pens again because I don't like that one either. It's leaving these little squishy marks. And then right here is where the little baby plant grows. In a monocot, this is all there is. There's one cotyledon, one chunk. In a dicot, you can split the seed down the center, and you get two sides. Each side has the cotyledon, one there and one there. Remember, that's the food for the growing baby plant. And then in a dicot, it's still only making one embryo, one little baby plant right there. It just comes off on one side. So the first way to tell if you're looking at a monocot or a dicot is to get one of the seeds, soak it in some water for maybe a day so you can get it open, and then crack the seed open. When it cracks, does it have a center line that it splits on? Or is it just a big chunk that you can't get to break except into little messy pieces? Is it one cotyledon or two? Right. The second thing that is different between monocots and dicots is their leaves. When you look at the leaf of a monocot, you will see long, narrow leaves. If we were looking at our leaf identification diagram, they would be ones like the linear leaves. I'm going to add some notes back here. One cotyledon, two cotyledon. Okay. All right, back to the leaves. So we have long, narrow leaves. And if you get a zoomed in look of the leaf and look at its veins, the veins are parallel. Remember that parallel veins run in lines that go from where the leaf connects to the stem out to the tip of the leaf. And they don't actually form perfect lines, but we call them parallel veins. Parallel in biology means that the veins run in the same direction. It's not quite the same as parallel in math, where it means the two lines that will perfectly never ever touch. All right. The dicots have leaves that are not long and narrow. They tend to be basically anything else. So if you look at like a maple leaf or let's see, or the leaf on a aspen tree. Those are some examples of the type of leaf that you would expect to see in a dicot. You're going to have broad leaves. And if you look at the vein pattern, you're going to have reticulate veins. That's this word, reticulate, which is just a fancy way of saying reticulate means net. But in botany, it just means veins that spread out all over the place. They can be spread out in a palm-like fashion, like on a maple leaf, palmate, or in a feather-like fashion, like on this aspen leaf, which is pinnate. It doesn't matter, as long as it's the reticulate, the crazy spread out net way. Okay. If we look at the flowers, if you have a monocot, its flower parts come in multiples of 3. So remember, a multiple is the numbers you get to when you count by it. So multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, and so on. When it says the flower parts come in multiples of 3, it means that monocot flowers have 3 petals, or maybe they have 6 petals, or maybe 9 or 12, but in multiples of 3. Generally, it's 3 and 6. Often, they also have 3 calyxes, if they have them. And if they have multiple stamens, they might have 3 or 6 stamens, all multiples of 3, just like that, 3, 6, 9, and 12. If you find that in the flowers, it means you're looking at a monocot. In a dicot, you have multiples of 4 or 5. So multiples of 4 would be 4, 8, 12, 16. Multiples of 5 would be 5, 10, 15, 20. And it can be either one for dicots. So if you see this flower, that's 4. You would also have 4 little calyxes, the little baby leaves that protect it. Maybe it would have 8 stamen, the male part of the flower. And if you had one that had 5 sections, it would also be a dicot. You're going to need something like this when you go out investigating to find monocots and dicots in your yard. So I would suggest that you do some drawing on your own and use whatever words make the most sense to you, but build yourself a guide of how do I tell a monocot from a dicot? Because next time we meet, we're going to go do some actual investigating. We're going to walk up to plants and use our little code here to decide if they're monocots or dicots. Happy investigating. I'll see you back for the next lesson in a bit.